William Morrow and HarperAudio present The World's Fair Quilt, an Elm Creek Quilts novel by Jennifer Chiaverini, performed by Christina Moore. To my family, with all my love. Chapter 1, September 2004. Soft morning sunlight filtered through the leafy boughs of the tall elms behind Elm Creek Manor as Sylvia nudged open the back door and lugged a 5-gallon glass dispenser of fresh apple cider outside onto the landing. After catching her breath, she carefully descended the 4 stone stairs to the gravel parking lot, nearly empty now during the off-season, with only the Elm Creek Quilts minivan and the few vehicles belonging to the manor's year-round residents basking in the sunshine or keeping cool in the shade, according to their drivers' preferences. Awaiting Sylvia at the foot of the stairs was a much smaller 4-wheeled contraption, better suited for her current errand, a sturdy red wood and steel wagon with rugged wheels, slat sides, and a long handle with a secure grip. Just minutes ago, she had placed a container of apple oatmeal muffins and a sleeve of paper cups at one end. Now she muffled a grunt as she carefully set the heavy dispenser beside them, bending her knees to prevent strain to her lower back. After checking to make sure the dispenser's spigot remained tightly closed, she grasped the wagon's handle, gave it a firm tug to get the wheels turning, and set off for the orchard. The wagon rattled cheerfully over the hard-packed dirt and gravel, but an axle squeaked and a bit of rust flaked off in Sylvia's palm when she adjusted her grip. She made a mental note to ask Matt McClure, the estate's young caretaker, to give the wagon a tune-up when he could spare time away from the apple orchard. She supposed it was a wonder the antique contraption still rolled along at all, but things had been built to last back in the day when her father had brought the shiny new wagon home for her younger brother, 1932, if memory served. The gift had been a surprise in more ways than one. Before the dreadful stock market crash, the Bergstrom family could well have afforded to celebrate a birthday with a delightful new toy, but such expenses had become extravagances during the Great Depression, what with so many of their formerly wealthy customers suddenly penniless, and the family horse-raising business in precipitous decline. "You were supposed to buy yourself a new pair of boots," Sylvia's great-aunt Lydia had reproached Sylvia's father afterward, but she fell silent when she spotted Sylvia eavesdropping in the doorway. Sylvia smiled wistfully to herself, remembering how her father had patched his worn boots and carried on, perfectly satisfied with his choice. What were a few blisters compared to his son's joy? Richard had loved that wagon, and when he wasn't careening wildly down the steep slope behind the stables, his imagination transformed it into a speeding locomotive, a pirate ship, a rocket to the stars. If Richard had survived the war, perhaps he would have passed it on to his own children one day. But that was not to be. Over the decades, the once beloved wagon had been entirely forgotten, slowly rusting away in a corner of the barn amid a tangle of antique farm tools. Only a few months ago, Matt and Joe, the husband of another resident Elm Creek quilter, had discovered it while making room to expand Joe's wood shop. Struck speechless from astonishment, flooded by memories, Sylvia could only nod when Matt asked if he could fix it up for his own children. Now it was nearly as shiny and sound as when Richard had first taken it for a spin, with only a few dings and dents to remind her of her brother's boyish misadventures. Matt and Sarah's 18-month-old twins were still too young for the wagon, but in the meantime, Sylvia found it quite useful for transporting heavy or awkward things around the estate, including, that morning, refreshments for her hard-working friends. Though the worst of the summertime heat and humidity was behind them, it was still rather warm for mid-September, and she suspected the more senior members of the construction crew would appreciate an excuse to take a break. And if Sarah playfully accused Sylvia of trying to delay the orchard's grand opening, well, Sylvia was used to her younger friend's fond teasing by now, and she wouldn't take offense. Hadn't Sylvia agreed to Matt's pick-your-own scheme, despite her misgivings? She wanted his new venture to succeed as much as anyone did. In fact, she was counting on it. Sarah was responsible for the company's finance.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?